Out with the old and in with the new. Now would you look at this, have you ever seen such a tiny mount handle a big telescope like this so flawlessly? Something about this just looks so unnatural. In fact, I think the AM7 mount actually makes the telescope itself look deceptively lightweight. It's not, in fact the payload is almost 14 kilograms in total, which is conveniently 70% of the max recommended payload for this mount without a counterweight. So right in the sweet spot. I wanted to have a play around with this mount before tonight's observing because it does look as though it defies physics. The mount arrives in its own little carry foam case with the required data cables, remote control, and a chunky counterweight bar. But much like its predecessors, you do need to purchase your own 12-volt 5-amp power supply to get it going. And as is the case with most mounts these days, it does not come with a tripod, so you're going to have to buy one that's capable of handling this payload or build your own peer mount like I've done here. I have actually just made another one, so I promise I'll be sharing with you a video very soon about how I made it and how you can make one yourself. Right, so maybe it's the fact that we have clear skies here in the UK for the first week this year, but I have a really good feeling about this mount. I'm Damon Scotting, and this is Astronomical. Right, so first impression, that is very sleek. This is a solid design. It does exactly what you've paid for it to do. It is a very capable mount. So yeah, I think I'm only missing one cable before this is fully functional and up and running, and that is just a power cable to go from the back end of the mount just here into the camera to give that some power. So I'm just going to explain a little bit more about what else I'm using with the mount just here. So of course we have the C11 Edge HD telescope. It is a beast. But down the back end over here, I'm going to spin it around. Connected to the telescope, we have a 0.7 times reducer, as well as a T adapter, camera angle adjuster from ZWO as well as a 7x2 inch filter wheel, and then the ASI 2600 monochrome air camera. So with this setup, I'm hoping to take some really nice quality narrowband images of our night sky at a very long focal length. Just for entertainment purposes, here are a few images I captured with the C11 Edge HD, but the truth is, for the rest of the video I'm using the exact same camera setup at the back end, but now with a much sharper telescope in the Askar SQA-106, and this is for the simple reason that I was really struggling to guide with the C11 Edge HD. So I think the next question I'm going to answer is, how well does this mount guide, and is it the best value mount on the market currently available? So the key thing to note here is that I'm not using a separate guide scope and camera. I'm using the ASI 2600 Air, which comes with an inbuilt guiding sensor. So the issue is, when imaging in narrowband using the C11 Edge HD telescope, it's such a large focal length that the guiding camera really suffers. So instead, here is almost 20 minutes worth of 1 second guiding whilst tracking the Whirlpool galaxy with the Askar SQA-106. And as you can see, these are some very healthy numbers. So the payload now is just over 10 kilograms. There is no counterweight being used at all, but this puts it at about 50% of the recommended payload without a counterweight, and it's doing a pretty impressive job. The AM7 strainwave mount uses a 300:1 reduction ratio drive, which makes it a premium level mount. With a total weight of 6.75 kg, it still falls into the category of what one would call a portable mount, especially since older mounts required multiple 5 kg counterweights as an absolute necessity to operate. I generally think it leaves the AM5 mount in the dirt. There's no real need for it now, since for just 10% more cost, you can get a significantly better mount that only weighs an extra 20% but can carry significantly more. I do, however, still have a soft spot for the tiny AM3 mount, so I'd continue to advocate for that. There is a small hiccup with the AM7's counterweight bar, since it has a much larger thickness than a typical counterweight bar, meaning you've now got to go and find some specific counterweights with larger holes, and some websites are charging ridiculous prices for these. At this point, you'd be better off just taping water bottles to the end or buying actual workout weights and custom fitting them yourself. But then I suppose if you've got $2,500 to drop on a mount, you're expected to be able to pay a couple hundred more for a custom counterweight. The power port and USB-C ports at the back end of the dovetail continue to be a welcome addition. They've also been positioned closer to the edge, making them more accessible than ever before. So to tell you the absolute truth, when I first got word come through from ZWO saying, hey, do you want to review this mount, my immediate thought upon seeing the specifications was, that's pretty underwhelming. And that might sound pretty harsh, considering 20 kg without a counterweight is incredibly impressive. We haven't really seen anything like that on the main market yet. But the reason I had that immediate feeling was I just got off the back of reviewing another mount, which is just to the left of me right here, and that is the Astro Sal 33. And that's capable of 15 kg without a counterweight, 20 kg with a counterweight. So not as much as this. But upon releasing my review, the owner just announced that he was going to release another mount called the Sal 66, which had some very impressive payload capability capabilities. Add this to the fact that just 2 days before, I also received another email from a mount manufacturer asking me if I'd review their mount, which I'm going to try and put on a screen just here. And again, the payloads are huge. So all of a sudden, I've gone from being, yeah, 20 kg without a counterweight would be insane right now, to, come on ZWO, surely you can do better than that. It's great. 20 kg, 30 kg, fantastic. But I think it's because now all of a sudden we're seeing this flurry of new mount manufacturers coming out with very impressive mounts for fractions of the price of what ZWO are charging. So let's start off by doing a deep dive into the specifications of this new mount and seeing how it compares to the other competition on the market, as well as those third-party mounts that we're not too sure if we can trust yet, but do offer a very good bargain. The Sal 66 is an eagerly awaited design that incorporates robotic polar alignment for the first time in a mount. This looks set to be a staple for mounts going forward that in itself is enough of a gimmick to make it worth buying. But even more so when it has these astonishing payloads and promises to go toe-to-toe with the AM7 in terms of prices. Meanwhile, Prometheus Astro are adding a multi-power output system in the mount head, something I looked at with a Clear Sky ST25 mount and came to the conclusion that it's very handy and a nice simple addition that again makes astrophotography easier, which should be the ultimate goal of all of these mounts. Yeah, I'll leave it up to you to decide in the comments which of these mounts you think looks the most appealing in terms of value for money. Alright, there we go. So in conclusion, my first thoughts and feelings towards the AM7 mount are, it's really good. It is worth the money that you pay for it. Is that an expensive price tag? For me personally, I'd say yes, but then in relation to the rest of the gear that you're buying in your entire astrophotography setup, it is not out of place. When I did that really big mount comparison video last year, the most obvious thing to note in terms of differences between the ZWO AM mount versus all of the other third-party mounts was that this mount is very quick. It literally zips between the targets. It's the fastest one by far. So yeah, get used to seeing this because I am going to be using it a lot more in the future, especially when I'm hoping to do some more live streams over the coming months. This is going to be my first choice because when I put the Skywatcher HAC125DX on a telescope mount, I want to put it on something that's really fast and can zip between stuff, and if I do see satellites or something like that, I want to be able to just pick up a Joy-Con controller like this, which is unique to just this telescope mount, and then just follow it. And it can definitely keep up, and I don't have to worry too much about it falling off balance or any slips. I mean, that's really cool, isn't it? I remember when I first saw this Joy-Con appear on the first ZWO AM5 mount and I really wasn't too sure what to think of it. I actually thought it looked quite tacky, but I love it. This is the best remote control that I've ever used of anything. Yes, it doesn't have a display on it so you can pick out targets, but ZWO have an incredible app that lets you pick out the targets alongside images of them anyway. So you can just download the app for the mount and then have a much better user experience than when you have these really tiny displays on the mount itself. So yeah, if you'd like to check out the ZWO AM7 mount for yourself, there is a link in the description down below. Let me know what you thought of it, and thanks for watching. I'm Damon Scotting, and this was Astronomical. It is finally here. 42 Wonders of Our Night Sky book has officially been released. What started as my biggest astronomy series on YouTube is now a full book. 140 pages packed with stunning deep sky objects, practical stargazing tips, fun facts, puzzles, games, and side-by-side comparisons showing what each of these wonders look like through 3 very different setups.